Hello everyone. Let us discuss a very important concept which is used in 5G communication, and the concept is NOMA, which is non-orthogonal multiple access. NOMA in 5G communication. This is a very important technology, and it's a research topic nowadays, and it has to be actually understood very properly. Now, what is NOMA? NOMA is non-orthogonal multiple access. Multiple access means multiple users getting access to the channel. So the term multiple access out of this NOMA means the multiple users getting access to the channels. So I will come to the non-orthogonal part also. Let us try to understand the concept of NOMA using this basic system in which a base station tower is there and two mobile users are there, user 1 and user 2. The channel gain of user 1 is H1, the channel gain of user 2 is H2. And we are considering the downlink for user 1 and user 2. H1 and H2 are the channel gains. Now let us consider the case. Let us consider one scenario. The scenario says that consider base station power, uh, all the base station power giving to user 1. The first case we are trying to look at is we give the whole power of the base station to user 1 and nothing goes to U2. So let us try to understand this system. So Y1 will be received signal at the user 2 as at user 1, I'm sorry. So Y1 is the received signal at user 1. This will be given by H1, which is the gain, channel gain for user between tower, base station tower and user 1. So P is the power allocated and X1 is the signal point out of the signal constellations used for user 1 device. Of course, plus it will be the noise. And noise is assumed to be Gaussian noise. Now, channel once the channel is established between the base station and user 1, so channel will have a certain capacity and the code rate associated with that channel, right? According to the channel coding theorem. Now, if we give if because we are giving the full power of the base station to user 1, so that will with that power there will be a code rate associated with user 1, and this along x-axis is, let's say I draw the code rate for user 1, and this is the capacity of the channel between the tower and the user 1. For reliable communication, this is the rate. Beyond this, I mean, beyond this capacity, if we try to achieve the rate, there will be unreliable communication, and this is the capacity of the channel 1, right? So there will be a code rate associated once we allocate power to user 1, and we are in this case allocating full power of the base station to the user 1. So there will be a code rate associated with user 1, right? Now the let's consider the other case. In the other case, let's say now we send all the power of the base station to user 2. So in the similar fashion, we can write the equation for user 2 where Y2 is the received signal, H2 is the channel gain between the tower and the user 2, P is the power that the base station will allocate to the user 2, X2 is the signal point out of the constellations being out of the constellation diagram being used by user 2, right? Plus Gaussian noise. Now, why I am differentiating between the signal point for user 1, and I'm saying that this is signal point out of the constellation diagram for user 1, because and here I am saying that it's the constellation point for user 2. Now, this user 1 can be a very high rate video device. User 2 can be a very low latency IoT device. And this user 2 may be using some simple constellations, very simple signal constellation, maybe a BPSK system. And user 1 since it requires a high rate data, so it will be using a very dense kind of signal constellations. So that is why the signal constellations are different for both the user. This is an important point which I will describe once I will go further with the NOMA system. Now, so once whole of the power is allocated to user 2, so to the user 2 also I associate a code rate R2, and this is the capacity of the link, right? So giving power to the user 2 will also associate a code rate with user 2. This is the code rate for user 1 and this is the code rate for user 2. And I am also assuming that channel gain for the first link between tower and the user 1 is larger than the channel gain between the tower and the user 2, right? So h1 is greater than mod of h2. Mod of h1 is greater than mod of h2. So that means channel 1 is a better channel and this channel 2 is a weaker channel. Now for multiple access, we have to share power. So because this is a single, this here up to this point, we are not doing the sharing, right? This is not multiple access. But once the multiple access has to be done, so for multiple access, we have to share power. That is, if we have to share between these two users, then one solution which is available is TDMA, which is time division multiple access. Now divide to two time slots. For first time slot we send to user 1 and in the second slot we send to user 2. So that is what TDMA is. It gives us an opportunity to operate upon. So if R1, if for certain amount of time we are sending to user 1 and for certain amount of time we are sending to user 2, that means we are not sending full power to user 1 and user 2. So we will be getting a code rate smaller than the capacity of the link. So it gives us an opportunity to operate upon. So it will give us an opportunity. So this point is actually when no power was transmitted to user 1, whole power was transmitted to user 2. And this point is whole power was transmitted to user 1 and nothing was transmitted to user 2. But when we are saying that we will be sending the power to both the users, so that means we are getting this straight line to operate upon. So we can choose the code rate for R2 and we can choose the code rate for R1 because the code rate will depend upon the how much power you are sending to user 2 and user 1. Therefore, it gives us an opportunity to operate upon any rate pair. So we will get a rate pair as per diagram given below, any point on this line. So this is the case. So operating the two users like this and getting a pair of code rate will actually lead to a system what we call as the orthogonal multiple access. Why this is orthogonal? Because certain amount of time we are sending power to user 1 and certain amount of time we are sending to user 2. Right. So that means both the times in which the powers are allocated to user, they are orthogonal to each other. So this will be the line describing the code rate pairs achievable by the two users. Orthogonal multiple access. As time slots are different, so orthogonal to each other. Overall, we can take average for code rate. Right. Overall, for the overall system, we can take the average. Now, let us see what is NOMA. What is non-orthogonal multiple access? We send at the same time to both. So in orthogonal, we are sending a different time, but in non-orthogonal, we will send the power at the same time to both users at once. And the result is we are going to be doing better. So if we are getting a straight line when separately we were sending it to user 1 and user 2, separately means at separate times. But now when we are saying that we are sending at all the times to both the users, so we will get something better than orthogonal multiple access, this straight line. Rather, we will be getting some kind of graph above this line. So that means we will achieve a better code rate pair. So we are going to be doing better than the straight line. That is, we will surely be above the OMA straight line. So that OMA means orthogonal multiple access straight line. So that R1 plus R2 will be more than orthogonal multiple access. R1 plus R2 is the code rate, resultant code rate. Now let's say that P1 is the power allocated for user 1 and P2 is the power allocated for user 2. P1 plus P2 is the total power. Now suppose channel for user 2 is worst and I am allocating more power to user 2. That means since this channel is worst, we are allocating more power to user 2. So P2 is bigger than P1 because the P2 is the power allocated to user 2 is bigger than P1, and I will say that it is much bigger. It's very large as compared to P1. So at receiver 2, let's look at what is received. Y2 will be received. So what is transmitted? What the base station is sending? Base station is sending what? P1 is the power allocated to user 1. X1 is the signal point of the user 1 plus P2 is the power of the user 2 and X2 is the signal point of user 2. So P1 plus X1 plus P1 X1 plus P2 X2 is sent by the base station, right? And at receiver 2 it will be multiplied by H2 and this is what is sent plus W2, which is the noise. Now if you expand this H2, what you get is, because we are at receiver 2, we will be looking for X2 signal point because we want to detect and decode X2. So let us put X2 first. It is H2 P2 X2 plus H2 P1 X1 plus W2, right? And we have also said that P2 is large as compared to P1. So that means P1 is a very small term as compared to P2. And since H2 is also small, because we have assumed that if you remember, we have assumed that H1 is greater than H2, so that means H2 is also small, P1 is also small, so it will be a smaller quantity and it will appear to be noise only. So this whole term we can say that it is noise, and then we can decode X2 like the standalone system. Standalone system means whereby we were not sending the shared power to both the users as we were decoding in this system for user 2. So we can decode, since this no doubt the noise will be more, but we can do a direct detection here. And of course we may not get the full code rate for this user, so we will be getting little less code rate because now the noise is more, but we will be decoding it directly. So since P1, this is what I have explained here, and this is also called direct detection. But code rate will be smaller than as you were sending whole power to Y2. No, because we are not sending full power to Y2 user 2. Rather, we are sending the shared powers, P2 power to user 2 and P1 power to user 1. But we say that P1 is smaller as compared to P2, so that's why we were able to say that this term is a noise term. Now, but you are sending power for all of the time. But here the important point is that but you are sending power for all the time. So as it is contrary to the case of TDM. Now at user 1 will be Y1. What we will receive at user 1, Y1 equal to H1. So we were sending P1 X1 and P2 X2. So H1 P1 X1 plus H1 P2 X2 plus W1. Now H1 is more as channel is better and P2 is significant term. Now if you look at this term here, H1 is larger, even P2 is also larger. So this is a significant term. So at user 2 we cannot assume that this term is noise. So what we can do is that this is the term H1 P2 X2 and this is a significant term. We cannot assume it to be noise. So what we can do is that since we are sending at a rate below the capacity, we can detect and decode the second term of the equation exactly the same way as we did for user 2. So what we will do is that we will detect and decode for user 2, right? And what we will obtain is that we will obtain H1 P2 and X2 which is an estimate of what we will try to decode from this equation. So we will get H1 P2 and X2 hat, so which is the estimate. Now since we have decoded for x2, what we can do in this equation, then we can subtract, we can do this successive interference cancellation, and we can subtract this term, and we will assume that this is a good estimate of x2. So h1 p2 x2 h minus h1 p2 x2 hat, these will cancel with each other. This is successive interference cancellation. And then after that we can decode for x1 signal point, like in simple TDMA detection, direct detection we can do. So therefore we get a rate pair. So this is how we get a curve above the orthogonal multiple access curve. So we will get a rate pair depending on the power that we are sending to user 2 and user 1. We will get a point. If we are sending more power to P2, we will get a rate pair, a point of rate pair closer to closer to y-axis. And if we are sending more power to P1, we will get a rate here, somewhere here. So what if we no if in the earlier case we sent more power to P2, but if we, let's say if we reverse the reverse our power allocation, give let us say we give more power to user 1 and yes, less power to user 2. So that means power 2 is greater than P1, then this rate then the point will be closer to R2 than R1. If P1 is greater than P2, then this will be the point. So the point is that can we do the detection the same way as we did, just by shifting the orders, just by flipping the orders. So this became channel 2, just because channel 2 is bad, we can't give more power for user 2 based on this constraint. H1 is, so this is a point to be understood, where the people think that people usually make a mistake that since the channel 2 is a bad channel, we will give more power to user 2. But that is not the case actually, because the user 2 can be a simple IoT device and which is using 2-point signal constellations. For example, the simple case of BPSK, whereas the user 1 can be a very high rate video device which is using very dense and complex signal constellations. So it depends on the signal constellations also and the power allocated, both simultaneously taken. So you don't want to give more power to user 2 just because user 2 channel is bad. But in practice, it may be that U2 is very low rate IoT device, whereas user 1 is some video device requiring higher rate. Therefore, you must have the flexibility to move along the NOMA curve. Now, what is the NOMA curve? In the NOMA system, you have a flexibility to move around the NOMA, this curve, rather than rather than deciding about the power allocation only based on whether a user is whether the channel is weak or not. Rather, you have to make your decision in conjunction with the type of device being used, type of signal constellations are being used, and then you will decide about the power allocation. So this is really an important point. Often people get confused about, they think they have to give more power to the weaker user in NOMA, but that's not the case. Let's look at the case when you give more power to U1, that is stronger user. Do you still do the detection as already derived, or do you flip the ordering of the detection? So direct detection for U1 and SIC for U2. Is it the case or not? And answer is no. You keep them in the derived order. The order of decoding is in the reverse order of the channel gain. This is a technique. This is a technique to be followed, that the order of decoding will be the reverse order of the channel gain. So you always decode H2 first, the weaker channel first, weaker user first. The weaker user gets decoded first. This is the rule. But why is that? Intuitively, we use the power intuition to tell that we should do as we derived, and now as the powers are flipped, why not order? So one point that is to be mentioned here is that the power is not the only factor which is deciding about decoding, because so y2 what is, let's look at what is received at y2 is h2 p1 x1 plus p2 x2. So look at this look at this P1 into X1 and P2 into X2. So P1 is the power allocated to user 1 and X1 are the signal points. So let us say X1 is a very complex video device and it is taking one of the signal points from this dense and complex constellation diagram. So you have to give it more power rather than depending on the weaker channel only. You will have to give more power uh, to have a better probability of error performance, to have a better performance and less probability of error. But for a device, for user 2, it can be a simple IoT device and using only BPSK kind of modulation technique, BPSK signal points. So it is easier to detect even in less power. So you will have to give less power. So it is not only the power that decides. It's not only the channel, weaker channel or stronger channel that decides about the power. So not only the power and also the signal constellations which decide about it, based on which you will make the decision how much power is to be allocated. So it appears we are trying to send equal signals or signal constellation to the two users, but that's not the case. So U1 is a video channel, U2 can be a low rate IoT device. Also, you will detect for U2 first, as you did for the previous case in which you did the direct detection for U2. Here also you will do the you will follow the same procedure. You will do the direct detection for U2, then you will estimate user 2 sitting at user 1. At user 1 you will estimate for user 2, then perform the successive interference cancellation. You will what I mean to say is that you will follow the same order of detection and decoding. So this is with NOMA system you get a flexibility of this curve which is above the orthogonal multiplexes, where you can use the code rate pair. You can decide about and you will send the powers at all the times to both the user rather than at different times. So let us look at the advantages and disadvantages of NOMA. So you in NOMA system, you must know what is the channel state information at base station and user end. So gain of the NOMA curve depends on H1 and H2. So if H1 is equal to H2, then NOMA curve will break to OMA curve only, right? Now, if the stronger user is an IoT device and weaker user is a video device, they won't work so well, right, in the case of NOMA. So a stronger user has to be a video device, and I mean you have to make decision based on the type of device, signal constellations the device is using, and the power allocation has to be, and the resource allocation and the power allocation has to be done accordingly. Thank you very much for